Welcome back to Daily English Dialogues, the podcast where we explore the art and science of better living. I'm Mike.
And I'm Vicky. Today we're tackling a topic that affects millions of people around the world, the frustrating journey to achieving fluency in English.
It really is a journey, and so many people get stuck. They hit this intermediate plateau where they know a lot of grammar rules, they have a decent vocabulary, but when it comes time to actually speak, it all just freezes up.
Precisely. The words don't flow. The conversation feels stilted, unnatural. It's a common frustration. And we recently came across a guide that frames this problem in a completely different way. It argues that the key isn't more study, but a fundamental shift in habits and environment.
Exactly. It's about getting out of the textbook and into the real world, even if that real world is just the one you create for yourself. The first big idea is that fluency is physical.
That sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? We think of language as a purely mental exercise.
Right, but think about it. Speaking uses muscles in your tongue, lips, and jaw. If you've spent your life speaking your native language, those muscles are trained for a specific set of movements. English requires a different set.
So you're suggesting it's like a sport?
In a way, yes. The guide calls it a mouth workout. You literally have to build muscle memory for the sounds of English. This is where a technique like shadowing is so powerful.
Shadowing. For our listeners, that's when you listen to a native speaker and repeat what they say in real time or just a split second behind them.
Yep. And the key is not just to repeat the words, but to mimic everything. The rhythm, the pitch, the intonation, the pauses. You're training your mouth to move in an English way, not just your brain to know English words. It's about the music of the language.
That makes perfect sense. It moves the act of speaking from the conscious, analytical part of your brain to the automatic, subconscious part. The same way a pianist doesn't think about which finger hits which key after years of practice, the fingers just know.
The fingers just know. Exactly. And once your mouth knows what to do, your brain is freed up to focus on what you want to say, not how to say it.
This connects beautifully to the second major concept in the guide, which is achieving brain fluency.
Right. The dreaded translation habit.
Indeed, most learners think in their native language, translate the sentence in their head, and then try to speak it in English. It's slow, inefficient, and often results in unnatural-sounding sentences.
It's like trying to run a marathon with weights on your ankles. Brain fluency is about cutting out that middleman. It's about learning to think directly in English.
And how does one begin to do that? It sounds quite daunting.
The guide suggests creating no translation zones. You start small. For example, your kitchen. You make a rule. When you are in the kitchen, you are only allowed to think and speak in English. You look at the fork, the plate, the refrigerator. You don't think of the word in your native language first.
So you forge a direct link between the object itself and the English word for it.
You got it. Then you expand that zone. Maybe your morning routine becomes a no translation zone. Then your daily commute. You start narrating your life internally in English. I am walking to the bus stop now. The bus is late today. It feels silly, but you are building new neural pathways.
You're changing your internal monologue, and that, in turn, is supported by changing your external environment. The guide insists on this. You must immerse yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Change your phone's language to English. Change your computer's language. Watch movies with English subtitles, not your native language. Listen to English podcasts, like this one.
The goal is to make English an unavoidable part of your day, so your brain stops treating it as a foreign subject to be studied and starts accepting it as a tool to be used.
This all sounds great, but it brings up a common question. Who do I practice with? A lot of people feel they can't progress because they don't have a native speaker to talk to.
And this is where the guide is truly empowering. It argues that solo practice can be just as, if not more, effective than constantly seeking a conversation partner, especially in the early stages.
Because it removes the pressure, the fear of making mistakes, of being judged. That fear is a huge barrier to fluency.
Completely. So what can you do alone? Well, you can talk to yourself. The guide specifically recommends speaking to a mirror.
It sounds a bit crazy, but it works. You can watch your own mouth movements, practice your pronunciation, and get comfortable with the physical act of speaking English without any stakes.
Another powerful solo tool is recording your own voice. We often cringe at the sound of our own recordings, but it is an invaluable diagnostic tool.
It really is. You'll hear pronunciation mistakes you didn't even realize you were making. You'll notice if your intonation is flat. You can compare your recording to a native speaker's and identify the exact gaps you need to work on.
And underlying all of this solo practice is the principle of repetition. This isn't about simply reading a word once. It's about deep mastery.
Yeah, the guide compares it to learning a song on the guitar. You don't just play it through once. You isolate the difficult parts and practice them over and over and over until you can play them without thinking.
It's the same with a difficult phrase or sound in English. You take that phrase and through shadowing, recording, and repetition, you master it. You make it a part of you. That builds true, unshakable confidence.
Okay, so we've got the physical practice through mouth workouts, the mental shift to brain fluency, and the confidence building through solo repetition. There's one final piece of the puzzle, and it might be the most important.
The emotional connection.
Bingo! You can have perfect grammar and pronunciation, but if there's no feeling behind the words, you'll still sound robotic, unnatural.
Fluency isn't just about technical precision, it's about expression. It's the difference between reciting a language and actually communicating with it. The guide argues that you need to connect English to your genuine emotions.
So instead of practicing with sterile sentences from a textbook like, "The pen is on the table," you should talk about things you actually care about.
Yes, tell a story about your childhood. Describe your favorite movie with passion. Argue for a belief you hold strongly, even if you're just talking to yourself in the mirror.
When you do that, the natural stress, the rise and fall of your voice, the rhythm, it all starts to appear automatically. Because you're not just trying to say words correctly, you're trying to convey a real feeling.
It makes the language come alive. It ceases to be a collection of rules and becomes a vehicle for your personality. That is the essence of true fluency.
And that brings us to another fascinating layer of fluency, one that the guide touches on as well. It's the idea that true mastery of a language goes beyond the words themselves and into the realm of cultural understanding.
That's such a crucial point. Language doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's a living, breathing reflection of the culture that created it. Idioms, for example. A phrase like break a leg makes zero logical sense without the cultural context of the theatre world.
So, to wrap this all up, the path to fluency isn't about memorizing more grammar. It's a holistic process.
It is. First, you treat it physically. You train your mouth with shadowing and workouts to build muscle memory.
Second, you train your brain to think directly in English by creating an immersive environment and no translation zones.
Third, you build confidence and deep mastery through consistent, repetitive solo practice, like recording your voice and speaking to a mirror.
And finally, you breathe life into your speech by making an emotional connection to the language, speaking about things that truly matter to you.
It's a truly empowering framework because it puts the control back into the learner's hands. You don't need expensive classes or a native speaking partner to make dramatic progress. You just need to change your habits.
Change your habits, change your mindset, and you'll change your fluency. It's a powerful message. That's all the time we have for today on Daily English Dialogues. Join us next time for another deep dive. Until then, I'm Mike.
And I'm Vicky. Speak well.